Hey everyone, welcome back to Small Biz Stories. We have a wonderful guest in the house. She's a fellow Jersey girl. Yeah, so we're like rah rah. And not just any Jersey girl, she's a New Jersey Mumpreneur of the Year of 2024. So we're really excited to have Kate Assaraf on the show with us here today. And she's going to tell you about her dip line of products. And she's grown to a seven-figure business without influencers and without Amazon everywhere. Kate, welcome to the show. And how did you do it?
Thank you. Thank you. You actually make me sound much bigger than I am. But I appreciate that so much. I actually, because we're all consumers, I put myself in the shoes of a consumer, and especially a New Jersey consumer. We're very skeptical and sarcastic about everything. And honestly, I feel like as a consumer, I feel insulted when I see an influencer hawking something that they haven't paid for, and I feel insulted when I know that Amazon is taking high margins from a small business, even if someone has they're like, oh, I'll put my products on the biggest marketplace in the universe. People don't realize that that small business that puts their stuff on Amazon has to pay Amazon so much money to stay there.
Yes, the fees are egregious. They absolutely are. I'm on the other side. I don't sell products, but I have a software platform for e-learning and I pay AWS, so Amazon Web Services monthly fees, and I chew up. Like they're insane,
They're
right?
they're basically printing money. They've become the economy. And I don't think that's what people wanted. I think at first they wanted convenience and they wanted to be able to have stuff delivered to their door, but I don't think they wanted it at the expense of every small store in America or everyone's, expertise at retail that we used to have. That was a totally different time, and now that's been eroded because Amazon has just made it impossible for other businesses to succeed. So my little middle finger to Amazon is to just not sell there.
Which I love. That is so Jersey and so bold. But it also speaks, I think, from just what I know of your brand of Dip Sustainable Hair Care, that it's part of who you are as a brand. It's all about sustainability and then giving back and doing things, not only making people's hair look beautiful, which of course is very important, but talk to us a little bit about what you're good at. We're going to get into sort of your backstory and all of that, but I love opening with like, what are you good at?
I've never been asked this before, but the thing I think I'm good at is making sustainability feel like a party and not like a finger waggling lecture. And so a lot of our marketing and a lot of our our Instagram feed is made for fun, and it's made for fun and realness and authenticity, which I think people just crave so much. And everyone drops, like, name drops authenticity as if it's like special, but ours, seriously, on our feed on Instagram, we have no phony user generated content, or UGC as we say. We Everyone that is featured on the dip feed are actual people who have paid for the product. And I think that, I guess what I'm good at is seeing what frustrates consumers, which is like buying crappy sustainable products. Like, people are so tired of paying more for sustainability and then being totally disappointed. And so I kind of thought, what if we turned, you know, all that marketing on its head? That's standard practice right now, is just like seeding influencers, having fake UGC. What if we turned it all on its head and just made it like silly and fun and feel good? And that the products were so good that we didn't even have to mention plastic at all.
Well, this is, I think, really fun. And then what you've tapped into this whole like, oh my goodness, this authenticity, that word and iconic, they're
Mhm.
everywhere to
They're
the point where,
everywhere.
right, like
It used to be
everything can't
synergy.
be authentic, right? Everything
Yeah.
can't be iconic. Like, I'm
Right.
sorry, right? I mean, and what I really love about the brand and that you've projected out there is that fun, right? Like, dip and done, just dip already, and just really, kind of fun and a bit retro and a bit sort of like I get almost like a 70s kind of vibe, but it's relatable and it's fun and accessible. How did you come up with the branding for all of this?
Well, I kind of, for me, the branding is actually anchored in my love of Sweet Valley High. I don't know if you remember the Sweet Valley High books, but that's kind of the spoof on our website is spoofed off of Sweet Valley High, which I used to read cover to cover when I was very young. And the covers are what made me fall in love with hair. I loved I just loved hair. I've always loved hair. Like I've always thought it was amazing. I never went to cosmetology school, which is one of my life's biggest regrets because I think I would have loved to have just been from I guess you go to that when you're 18 usually. I would have loved to have started my whole career in hair, but I it's the branding I kind of wanted to tip or like nod to just a simpler time. Like it's late 80s, early 90s, the feel, a lot of the marketing. And that's kind of the glory days for me. And I think also a lot of my customers, I'm not trying to necessarily really like anchor my brand on what Gen Z wants. I think about people like me who are buying luxury hair care and really demand something that performs well. And someone who's spending $70 a month on Oribe, can then switch to dip and save like $500 a year with just the conditioner. Like it's pretty crazy. But that, the funness and I kind of wanted people my age to feel like they were in on the joke when they see the website. Like they're like, oh, this is like something, I don't know why I remember this, but I remember this.
Right. That was how I was looking at it. I was like, and I'm older than you are. And for the audience that's listening and doesn't have the benefit of the full visuals, I'm not older, but I'm clearly older. So that said, it's still really fun. And I think that this is what's missing from a lot of brands, that they're just trying too hard and trying to be everything. And they're just missing the point, right? Like they've lost the plot.
Yeah, they've forgotten that I don't know any not fun women. Like the women I know are the people I laugh
Oh,
with
I
the
know a
hardest.
few, but
Yeah, okay, there's always a few, but my filter like filters them out quickly, but the women that surround me and the women in my life and at all different times in my life have always been fun and silly and people I could joke with. And I want my customers to feel like not that they're friends with the brand because that's like that's not right, but I wanted them to feel a level of comfort where they can engage with it and not feel like they're going to get an automated response. There's something special about a brand, treating its customers as human.
and just to roll back to, you talked about, oh, you wish you'd gone to beauty school. Just an idea, planting the little seed. The Hackensack Beauty School is wonderful. They've got everything from wig restoration and maintenance to tattooing to all kinds of stuff. You should consider going there for a day because they're so open to having groups and interact.
Oh,
You'd
I'd
be a
love that.
celebrity walking in the door, have fun with all the generation next coming up into beauty, and have a day and do some shoots there and, put that through your social. I think it would be fabulous for your
That's
brand.
a that's like a really cool idea. I didn't even know. So that would be so cool. We'll talk about that. We'll sidebar about that later, but that's a wonderful idea. I really love that. Especially just reaching people in New Jersey that they really do understand the sarcasm of the brand. Like that's
Yeah.
what's so fun for me.
And that is just it. I'm not a Jersey girl by birth, which is a whole thing here because everybody pretty much is born and dies in Jersey. People don't leave Jersey, which is the thing. I've lived in 3 countries, 6 states, so I'm a total transplant, but I get the vibe. I've been here for over a decade now. I understand. Yes.
Yeah, it's so funny. I've lived all over the world too, and in different countries and different states, but the sense of humor of New Jersey is where I wanted to raise my children. Like that
Okay.
was the sole reason for me to raise my kids here is because I like the sense of humor here.
See, now that's a reason I've never heard that people want to stay in Jersey. They come here for the shore. They come here because we're what, the last state that still pumps your gas, which is
Yeah.
so nice when it's cold out, right?
Yeah.
And we get discounts on our liquor, right? So, I mean, those are the three reasons why most people come to Jersey, right?
Yeah.
It's not for
I
the taxes.
I just wanted yeah, it's not for the taxes at all. I just wanted my kids to grow up funny and sarcastic. It really is a product of like where you are because I've lived in states or countries that are not as silly or sarcastic and I love the personalities here. It's just, everything kind of rolls off your shoulders and it's fun.
That's just it, right? Exactly. We're on this side of the Hudson River and we're proud of it. Thank you very much, Manhattan, right? So
Yeah.
I get it. So, but what I'm hearing with this attitude that you have, all this positivity and just, how you're embracing fun, I'm guessing that it speaks to the strength of your resilience and your spirit, because as I understand from your publicist that you've gone through some things, as
Yeah.
who hasn't? I mean, but do you want to share with us what you've gone through and how it made you stronger?
Sure. I have to, kind of keep it a little vague legally, but so I had a company very similar beforehand, and my business partner and I didn't align on, and it was gaining traction, and it was growing really quickly. And my business partner didn't align on things, and we decided to dissolve the business. And so I had worked, kind of built the business on my own for 4 years before I decided to take a partner, and when I did close it, it honestly it felt like I was ripping part of my soul out.
Mm.
I was so passionate about what I was working on. I was so into sustainability and really what the mission was going to be, and the performance, and I had obsessed over all of those things. And the biggest lesson and the harshest lesson I learned is that you cannot share your passion with someone else. It doesn't transfer. There's no osmosis there. It just doesn't work that way. And I will say, for so many people that like are go through business divorces or business breakups, many times you're not allowed to talk about them, so the stories are not retold. They're only told behind closed doors. But the other thing is, like, when in America, if you've lived other places and then you live in America, in America specifically, your job and your career is such a big part of your identity. And I felt that, I was, in this spotlight, being the face of a brand, working so hard. I was working sometimes 20 hours a day. I mean, around the clock, when trying to make this thing work and growing it. And then when it went away, and when like the last, dissolution papers were signed, I I was very sick, and I went through like crazy, crazy grief and depression. And I mean, it's weird. It's weird. I don't know. Have you ever been through something like that?
Oh, yes. As I said, I'm older than you, and so I've yeah, had my share. Most recently, and thank you for asking, just to share quickly because the audience is here to listen to you, that just over a year ago, I had two potential business partners looking to invest and take over my business, which is Steer Us. And we've got an e-learning platform. We focus on adaptive leadership, and we've really morphed and expanded to not only offer leaders glow ups, right? So how you look, how you present, executive presence, communication, all that stuff, but small business glow ups, all of that back end digital SEO, techno weenie stuff, right? That most folks are really good on the front end, but not so good on the back end. Anyway, that's it. Now that we've had the setup, they said, yeah, 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 we're really looking at this. This is great. We spent 30 days together grilling me in front of all kinds of luminaries, closed door meetings, all of this stuff. Day 31, they went, you know, after they've picked my brain, we're going to move on and start our own thing, and it will
Oh,
compete with you. And I was like, oh my
they
God,
harvested from you.
bingo, bingo. And
It's
insert
horrible.
profanity that only Jersey can use. Jersey has a
Yeah,
love of the
I
C word,
know.
right? Right. And so there was
Yeah,
there was some of that. But it was just I was devastated. I spent months after just like someone had just taken all of the life and wind out of me.
yeah, yeah. That is a very good way to explain it. I often explain that my husband would often and my friends would have to try and spatula me off the floor because I was so devastated. And because it was successful, and because we were just mismatched as business partners. That's the nicest way to say it. And like, it was really, really one of those life-changing moments. Like, there's a few milestones in your life where you're like, wow, this is like totally created an earthquake for me. One is my mother passing away. That was just devastating. And the
Right.
and
Mhm.
on the same level, I would say, was a business divorce. Like, it was horrible. And it's weird because now it's been 5 years, and I'm still trying to like get my health back. Like, the weird PTSD that comes from something like this. And it's weird. You don't think of like something like, and I think, I guess I want to say, people that go through, marriage divorces often have this, that like a few years later, they're trying to like get their nervous system back into shape. And that's kind of the level I'm at now. Like, I don't know what has been prescribed to you, but the things that have been prescribed to me are like sound baths, nature walks, like all these things. And when you're an entrepreneur, as you are, you're kind of like high intensity person.
Yes.
And so slowing down and taking nature walks, even though it's hard. I'm like, when can I start jogging? When can I do the things that are like intense that feel normal to you? But it's weird. I've really had to learn how to slow down and I guess stop and smell the flowers, So it's been strange.
Well, I really do appreciate you sharing that with our audience because this is one of the whole reasons why I started the podcast. It was originally known as the Grit Files and then got ranked top 5 in 2023 entrepreneur podcasts. I completely fried out. And from there, like had to build up. But it was all these stories about women who, particularly like female founders and doing things who weren't going forward, with the whole like, yeah, yeah, bros and Lambos, we're this, we're that, we're awesome. Look at my fake ass rented Porsche. Look at my this, look at my that, right? Like all this stuff. And it's about being real because there are a lot of days as entrepreneurs where you do need that spatula, right? To scrape yourself out of bed. But then there's every once in a while, right? You get that right kind of day and you're like,
Yes,
yes, yes, today is the day. Yesterday was not, but today is my day, only to get,
absolutely.
crushed the next day. That's what it takes. And I want to dig back into this concept of slowness because I'm an ADHD. And so the idea of sitting still just doesn't work for me.
Same.
And so, what are you doing instead to build that resilience?
To build a new love of being slow. I think it's the same thing I did to build a love for Diet Coke in the 90s. Like I didn't like it, but I was like, I'm gonna force myself to like this version of Coca-Cola, right? Now I don't drink any soda anymore, but like it's the same thing. I have to kind of convince myself that I love slow walks and I love yoga. But I don't necessarily love them at all. But I'm trying really hard to kind of they say if you keep telling yourself something, maybe you'll get into that zone. But it's you know, the funny thing about grit is that you need a lot of energy to overcome things. And, there was a time when I just didn't, I like, it's when I think about that time, it almost like gives me the shivers because I, I am pretty sure I was one level next to suicide at many points, and I still had two little kids. And at the time, my husband, it was during the COVID years, and my husband lost his job, so we were at this like free fall
Mm.
financially. And you just have to collect yourself and start again. And this was one of the only thing I like really fought for was to be able to start my business again because I felt like I was not finished. And that's how Dip became what it is now. And it like, there's so many things that people think are strange about the brand, like not wanting to be on Amazon and supporting small business owners. But those are products of that other brand closing and really realigning and solidifying what I wanted to do in the first place.
Do you believe in karma?
I hope, yeah. And I hope it really comes cashing out.
That's where I am, right? Like with some of these things. But I see it and again, you're supposed to reflect it back out there with the positivity.
Hmm.
Your brand is just going gangbusters. And so you've got that success. You found a way, you dug in, and I agree with you, Kay. Like I don't think a lot of methodology, works out there. Some people therapy works, some people medication works, some people all of the hot baths, this, that. Everybody's got to have a different thing. But I think deep down, what an entrepreneur just needs is to just turn the switch off and say, you know what? Done.
Yep.
Next, here we go. And you just park it. My superpower is snow globing. I snow globe it onward. Right? Here we go. And so with the success of your brand that you have now, let's talk about some of the fun aspects of it. What part do you really enjoy? Is it the marketing? Is it the creative on the brand? Is it testing the product? Like what you've got so many fun hair care things. I'd never get any work done. I'd be like, let's try this.
Honestly, it's the customers. The customers, especially people that have felt burned by sustainability before, when they find dip, usually they've been through a bunch of other bar brands before they find ours, and they write to me long, thankful letters. And I don't know whether probably every entrepreneur gets those. I don't know, but like I like to think it's very special. Some of the
Make
stuff
it special.
some of the stuff people write to me, and it's the reason I make myself accessible to the customers because I don't. I think something that there's culturally CEOs, they like to distance themselves from the customer, and I find that not fair to the customers, I guess. But the customers are my all-time favorite part of the brand because those they're like little like they reignite my whole purpose for the day. For some reason, customers write to me overnight, so usually in the morning I'll have something nice written to me or a nice review, and I am so grateful for that energy shot that they give me because it always reminds me of why I'm doing it. It's the best.
That is lovely. And I do think that that's a factor in resilience, just starting your day off with something positive, right? Some note, some something, not all of the crap, this, that email. Oh, you missed your whatever TPS filing last week, Laurel. Like, I'm like, always behind because it's like, it's always something. It's 10,000 things, death by a thousand cuts, right?
Yeah.
That you wake up and you say, oh, what's positive? So, talk to us a little bit about what you think should be in an MBA, a business curriculum, or these business accelerators, small business programs, all of these kinds of things. You've seen it, you've gone through both sides to hell and back.
Mhm.
What's missing from the curriculum?
The rehumanizing of business. I think that is the thing that we have totally lost. Everything can be digitized right now. Like everything can be faked. Everything, I mean, especially with the explosion of AI, like companies can build systems where they don't even really have to employ people anymore. Like that's the level we're at. And I think rehumanizing business, like it's worth it to have some employees. It's worth it to like some people are trying to save every penny for their business, and I think that kind of capitalism without empathy is outdated. I think that it's gone. We need to get rid of it. I think we're seeing a real backlash to billionaires not using their money to build libraries anymore. We're doing like cool stuff. Like we don't want more rockets. We want more, architecture and arts. There's stuff that we've forgotten in business because I studied economics and math, so I understand capitalism pretty well, and I understand, I understand profits, all these things. But if you're not using your profit to do something good in the world or to hire people so that they have purpose within your company as well, I find that to be a pretty crappy way to run a business. And rehumanization of businesses is something I'd really like to see taught everywhere because right now we're on the opposite end of it.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's why I love Dolly Parton,
Me
like
too.
all that she stands for, from her Dollywood to her book. I mean,
Oh,
amazing. And
yeah.
and you talk about the dehumanization that's going on in business. The
Mhm.
CEO of Duolingo announced yesterday that they're in the process of replacing all their consultants and contractors with AI, right?
Yeah.
So the digital autonomous labor force is here.
Yep.
It's not coming, it's here.
Yeah. And what are we going to do? Like, what does that mean for just human to human interaction? I saw even UPS is going to lay off, I think it was like 20% of their workforce, something crazy. And it's like
20,000 people and close
20,000 people.
73
That was the number.
facilities.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, why? But like, I can't remember a time in history where there were more packages. There's the most packages ever right now. How are you going to deliver all these packages with less people? Um, I don't know. There's so much of that happening right now, and it makes me ache for all the people like going through college now that maybe started 3.5 years ago and now they're about to graduate. Like, where are they gonna go? Um, I think about it all the time because I don't know if and saving that money for who? Like, who are you saving the money for? The money should be circulating through the economy. If it's not circulating and it's all siloed into like the C-suite, then there's really no one left to buy the product. Like, who's gonna Duolingo is a luxury. Like, it's a luxury and it's expensive. And who's going to have use it if there's no money flowing between, local economies?
Well, that's, I think, a big part of the problem that we've seen with, I guess, really the aftermath of COVID. So we've seen vacancies in New York City still at 50%, real estate values dipping, but that makes them more accessible and more attractive to billionaires that can afford to invest in them. We've
Yeah.
seen with the work from home impact on small businesses that have shuttered because they relied on that foot traffic to going
Mhm.
into those big buildings. And so that's been a ripple effect. And they're saying that packages have really decreased because purchases have
Mhm.
decreased because
Yeah.
people are holding on to their pennies. It's getting to be more difficult. So we've got to find ways to reinvent ourselves. And I know you didn't say it, but it sounds like it. I really agree with trying to figure out how do we help everybody else because people are hurting. Even my interns, they're brilliant. They've graduated with masters in computer science, Stevens Institute, NJIT, Rutgers. I mean, not slouch schools. And they can't find jobs.
Yeah.
It's just right because AI is doing their coding work now. And
Hmm.
so what do we do as a society? I do think we have to dig back in that level of humanity and engagement. And how many of us know our neighbors or say hello
Yeah.
anymore? Hey, how are you doing, Mr. So and so?
Hmm.
We've
It's
lost
crazy.
it.
It's crazy. And, you know, I saw a TikTok maybe a few weeks ago where someone was saying about how they don't want to know their neighbors and they don't want to know other people and like, and I find that so jarring because I live in a community where, when I had just moved to this area of New Jersey and I had given birth to my second son, and for the first 3 weeks, strangers brought food. So we didn't have
No.
to like that we didn't have to cook or worry about our next meal while the baby was really small. And that blew me away as because I moved from Manhattan to New Jersey. And so it's a very different vibe. And I love my community that I'm in now. And my community specifically is like really into shopping small and really into supporting like the local mom photographer or also, just the local pet store. Like there's all sorts of businesses here that and that the community really rallies behind. And it makes it so nice to live here. But that not every community is like that.
This is true. And so I think it's a matter of what can we do, right, that feels right for our personal values, that then we align our business values to that, and then customers do respond to that. Like we said at the start of the show, authenticity is thrown around and it's crap, right? It's been devalued, right? You can
Yeah.
have AI. I mean, you even can apply filters, make it look more authentic, more
Yep.
natural. So it's like, we've reached that level of authenticity, right? It's
Totally.
gross.
Totally. It's crazy. And like, you know, for my brand, I often tell people to not shop directly from our site where we capture higher margins. I actually tell them to find the store closest to them and shop there. And the thing about shopping in a store in your community is the first time you're a stranger, but the second time they'll probably know who you are and welcome you back. And that is a nice feeling. I want people to feel that again because it's missing. It's missing from the human experience to just sit at home and click through and have things delivered to you. I know it doesn't make sense and it sounds very altruistic to want to share the wealth as a brand with the small store owners, but I know them by name. Like I know almost all of my small store owners really personally, and I do retreats where I don't bring influencers. I actually bring small store owners who are never celebrated. And that is really, really important to me to have that kind of connection with them where I can tell them I'm not going to undercut you with sales. Like someone will pay the same price on my site as they will in a store. And that gives them the freedom to be able to sell, because it's what happens so often. And I don't know whether you've seen people do this. They go into a store, they see something, they check they check the price on Amazon and then they just have it delivered instead of supporting the store that really did the work and the purchasing to expose you to that product.
Best Buy has almost gone under several times because people go in there, they test out the laptop or whatever else, the gizmo, and then they go find a better price online,
Yep. Yep.
right? And so, and you talk about small businesses. I lived in Richmond, Virginia for a long time, and I loved it on Carey Street, all these little shops. at one point they brought in Baskin Robbins, like whatever, 33 or 39, whatever, however many flavors it was, to replace a ice cream store that had been there, I don't know, 20, 30 years, but she had retired. And so they brought in a chain. Do you know that chain did not last 3 months? It was
Believe
like,
it.
just nobody went. Nobody.
I believe it because the culture of Richmond rallies around small businesses. I know because one of our
Yes.
top stores is called Eco Inspired, and she is in Richmond. Her name is Erin that owns it, and she sells so much dip. Like the whole town has great hair because of her. And so it's so exciting that that's the culture there. And I hope to see that cultural shift in America where people start to pay attention to where their money goes because everyone it kind of divides where their money goes into politics, and I find that very boring. I think people should really think about you chose to live in a town. Now you should spend money in your town so your money still works for you. So your money that you spend at your local store then helps they pay taxes to pay for your police department, to pay for your fire department, to pay for your teachers, your librarians, like all the things that you benefit from. But if you constantly send your money through Amazon somewhere else, it goes, to sending Katy Perry to space, which is so ridiculous.
And he goes to putting more satellites in space too. So let's not forget that, right? With all that space junk up there now, the
Yeah.
satellites are all crashing into each other. But I digress. But that's just it. I think we are headed for a global reset, just
Yep.
like we did with COVID, where we came to the realization that, wow, I don't want to work 16 hours a day for a toxic boss.
Right.
How do we get out of this mess? Right.
Yeah.
And so now I think we're going to be looking at a lot of that. What matters to us? We're ending relationships based on political divisions. We are walking away from employment opportunities just because we can't deal with that coworker who says this or
Right.
says that. But we're entering, I think, into a time of potentially a bit of austerity and maybe even, the R word in recession, right? You've
Right.
studied economics and what that can mean. So I think it's time for people to really look at what they value, what's important to them, how they spend their time, how they spend their money, where
Hmm.
they spend it, and who they spend it on. And
Yeah.
I do hope that reckoning comes.
Me too. And you know, I think it's really important to just remember that every purchase you make, you know, is part of a chain reaction. And the more purchases you make that will benefit you, and what I mean is just locally, is really the best move for you and your family. And I wish people would rethink that. I've been on a Facebook moms group where the moms are so angry about Shein and Temu and the tariffs. And it's like, I understand you're addicted to cheap purchasing and cheap labor, but the reality is that is at the expense of putting money into where you live. And I want people to just reconsider that just a little bit, outside of plastic, outside of everything, even if you eat at your local restaurant, it's better for you, you know. Um, that's my soapbox I'm always on, trying to get people to shop locally again.
Yeah. It's a good soapbox, Kate. I'm there with you. My soapbox is vocal fry. I'd like Gen Z to put a little more air over their vocal cords so they're not all talking like this all the time. I lose my mind, but that's mine. So, as we're heading into the end of the show here and ready to wrap, a couple of more questions. First, Kate, where can people find you and Dip?
Sure. You can find it at dipalready.com. And also that's our TikTok and our Instagram handle. The best way to contact me personally is through the Instagram DMs. I'm always there and you can kind of get a feel for the brand when you go there. And I'm happy to answer any questions. The Before I go, I want to just say the shampoo bar is made for people so you don't have to choose between your workout and a good hair day. So that, I'm a runner and I have to shower every day. And so the dip bar, that's a big point of difference where it's gentle enough to use every day. And the conditioner bar, it for me replaces 12 tubes of Oribe Gold Lust, which is like a very expensive conditioner.
Wow.
So it saves me a lot of money, but it also, we're going into summer, it instantly detangles your hair when you come out of the pool or the ocean. So you just dip the bar in water, run it down your hair, and you can air dry and go. And that was a big deal to me.
I may be a convert. I'll have to check it out. Usually, I'm better about if my guests have some products from something I've ordered it or read their book beforehand. Or like, I didn't get to it, but I will do so after. Uh, so, last question that we have. Actually, one other thing. What do you want to tell folks that you haven't already said and said, hey, entrepreneurs, small business owners out there, y'all are listening. Here's this. What do you want to conclude with?
To the entrepreneurs, I think it's okay to march to the beat of your own drum. You can make your own drum and then march however the hell you want to it. And you don't have to do anything people tell you you have to do. I'm told I have to be on Amazon almost every day by someone. And I'm told I have to do, raise prices for tariffs. I have to do all these sorts of things. And I don't have to do any of that. And I don't feel any need to, bend those rules that I've created for myself. So I think that, stick to your guns, do the thing that makes you really passionate, make sure you can talk about it every day for the rest of your life. That's a big one.
Oh, I love it. So the last question, it's my signature question. So if we got a peek into your closet, no doubt there's going to be a lot of fabulous footwear in there. Might be sandals, flip-flops, sneakers, whatever. Describe the pair of footwear that's in there that personifies who you are. Who is the ethos of Kate Assaraf,
Oh my
right? Of Dip
gosh.
Sustainable Hair Care. What are we looking at?
Okay.
Boots, shoes? Hmm.
I have a pair of they're by a brand Charlotte Stone. They're Velcro sneakers and they're like beige and they have every single color on them. So like and the two shoes are mismatched. They are the craziest looking shoes ever, and I love them because they're mismatched. I they kind of they're a grounding for the chaos in my brain, and they represent the chaos that is in there. And I love wearing them. They make me feel very special, and they feel like they were made for me.
Oh, I love it. See, I have had a couple of hundred guests, and I never get the same answer. And
Oh,
this is why
cool.
I love the question. And you can't ever really judge. I might look and some might think like, "Oh, she looks like kind of a kitten pump kind of gal." And then I'll hear something, oh, ski boots, my ski boots are mine. And like, I've got stickers on. I'm like, oh, okay, who knew, right? And this is the fun thing. I had one gentleman on and he said, oh, my custom heels. I get them made. I'm a very short man. He's like, I like wearing stilettos. And why shouldn't I? They're only 4 inches, but they make a huge difference in how I feel. I'm like, good on you, right?
So
So you never
cool.
know.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, it's a wrap. Kate Asara from Dip Sustainable Hair Care. We wish you just continued success. Keep marching to that drum. Keep driving small businesses and making New Jersey giving us another reason, right, to brag about. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.